Hello, and welcome to part 2 of what would happen if Carthage won the Punic Wars. In 240 BC, 1 year after the end of the First Punic War and Rome's defeat, Roman citizens in Carthaginian Magna Graecia, or southern Italy, now plead to the weakened Romans for aid in enforcing the Carthaginians out of Italy. Having lost 2 legions while fighting in Sicily, and with the Gauls encroaching on Rome in its weakened state, the Republic has no soldiers to spare, and can only send equipment to untrained peasants. Once the equipment was received by the citizens, they were able to take the cities of Caen and Neapolis, near the Roman-controlled city of Capua. Meanwhile, Carthage is expanding its power in Iberia, which is modern-day Spain and Portugal, and cannot send troops to reclaim their land. As a result, Carthage demands that Syracuse uses its soldiers to reclaim the cities, and launch a full-scale invasion on the Romans. As a previous Greek colony, Syracuse maintained a strong relations with its Hellenistic city-states, and requested their aid in destroying the Romans. The city-states agreed. Seeing this as a chance to gain their advantage over their rival neighbors, the combined forces of Syracuse and the Greeks were able to crush the Romans, ending the war in a bloody battle in the city of Rome itself. During this conflict, Carthage was able to establish a foothold in Iberia, and now had access to massive stockpiles of silver in the peninsula. This further increased the economic might of the already wealthy power, and enabled Carthage to purchase Greek-controlled land in Italy, granting full control of Italy to the Carthaginians. The remaining Romans in Italy are forced into slavery and working in the silver mines in Iberia, funding its conquest. Near the end of conquest of Iberia, Hannibal takes command of an army in order to conquer the divided tribes of Gaul, incapable of producing an army to combat the Carthaginians. The tribe fall easily to Hannibal's army. After securing Gaul, Hannibal continued his march in the barbarian lands and went on to conquer Britannia and Germania. And with the use of elephants, these tribes fall much easier to Carthage than they did to the former Romans. Now, however, in the heartlands of Carthage, the city-state of Syracuse had exhausted the resources available to them, and planned to annex the rest of Sicily. Through open war with Carthage and Greek support, Hero II leads this invasion. However, it is crushed quickly by Carthaginian forces, and Syracuse is annexed into Carthage. Hannibal used this opportunity to conquer Greece, securing dominance in Europe. However, during this invasion, Hannibal was killed, and without a general as experienced as Hannibal, the fight for Greece becomes very bloody, and many Carthaginian elites are killed in battle, heavily weakening its military. Carthage does eventually succeed in conquering Greece, and as a short period of peace to rebuild their forces. But with this weakened military, Egypt and the Seleucids cease fighting and declare a joint war on Carthage. This leads to a collapse of the eastern portion of the empire, and many of the Gallic and Germanic tribes revolt in order to reclaim their ancestral land. This leads to a decline of the empire and leaves the 4 major powers in Europe, the Seleucids, Egypt, Germania, and Gaul. Egypt advances and finally conquers the city of Carthage, creating a rivalry between itself and the other major European powers. The Seleucids declare war on Egypt, but since the 2 empires only share a small border, Egypt is able to defend the border, and the Seleucids are incapable of gaining their foothold in the enemy's territory. The Egyptians push through the Seleucid border and besiege their capital of Antioch. They eventually push further into Anatolia, or modern Turkey, and the rest of Iberia. The Gallic and Germanic tribes fight Egypt on both of its fronts, but are unable to gain land due to the lack of new technology. The Egyptians are able to conquer the rest of Europe because of its vastly superior technology from trade with China. At this time, had the Romans been in power, Jesus would have been crucified and Christianity would never have spread as far as it did under Roman rule. This means that the Crusades would have never happened, and the church would have little to no power in medieval Europe. The Egyptian religion would remain the dominant faith in Europe and Middle East and Africa. The Egyptian empire would not fall until the Mongols invaded, but Europe's course of history would be changed forever. The Egyptian religion would always remain dominant, and the Americas would not have been discovered until much later. due to the Dark Age that had been hundreds of years later than that after the fall of Rome, the countries of Europe would also be different. Britain would remain isolated, and Gallic and Germanic tribes would unite and become only two powers in mainland Europe. Thanks for watching Heroes of Histories. What if Carthage won the Punic Wars? If you like us, make sure you like the video, follow our Twitter, and watch other videos that we have made. And for more videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Heroes of History. We upload every Saturday. Thank you, and we will see you next time on Heroes of History.